Good afternoon. Welcome to this highly anticipated moment, the installation of Central Washington University's 15th president, Dr. Jim Wohlpart. My name is Greg Lyman. I'm the chair of the Faculty Senate, and it's my great pleasure to be here today as we officially install Dr. Wohlpart as the leader of our university. Today's installation ceremony is the time when we officially bestow the powers and responsibilities of office upon our new president. We celebrate the beginning of a new chapter for our university while reflecting on all that we are and all that we are becoming. Today is also an opportunity for our president to share his short-term and long-term visions for the university during his term of office. Since arriving last summer, Dr. Wohlpart has demonstrated a commitment to our students, faculty, and staff, as well as the communities we serve. He understands that the world, and CWU specifically, can be a better place if we all come together for a common purpose, improving the lives of Central students by providing them with opportunities to grow and succeed both during their time with CWU and after they earn their degrees. After working closely with him over the past 11 months, I've appreciated Dr. Wohlpart's willingness to listen, to hear divergent opinions, to ask questions, and to challenge the status quo in ways that encourage new thinking and innovation. Dr. Wohlpart's commitment to developing a culture of shared leadership and shared responsibility are already apparent in his actions, specifically in leading the university-wide effort to develop a new vision, mission, and strategic plan. He has demonstrated a commitment to include representatives from a wide range of university constituencies, and this communal approach has already improved communication across departments and divisions. But what has stood out to me thus far is Dr. Wohlpart's commitment to creating equal access opportunities for our students. He recognizes the unique role CWU can have in transforming lives, and he doesn't want anybody to be left behind. Throughout his career, Dr. Wohlpart has demonstrated a belief in the transformative power of higher education, especially through high-impact practices, including service learning and community engagement. As we approach the one-year anniversary of his arrival at CWU, I'm excited about what lies ahead for our students, our faculty, and our staff, and frankly, the entire state. CWU is preparing to reach new heights, and I look forward to working with Dr. Wohlpart as we refresh the vision, mission, and direction for our university. Now at this time, I would like to invite CWU's Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Michelle Dembesti, to the stage.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Greg. And welcome, Dr. Wohlpart, finally and officially to CWU. During this complicated period of COVID and leadership changes, he has worked hard to create a culture of excellence and care for our entire CWU community. And we could not be more pleased to be here celebrating his leadership in person together today. I have had the pleasure and the honor of serving as provost for almost the past 2 years tomorrow. I am so honored to welcome the 15th president of Central Washington University. The transition from one leader to another provides an opportunity for renewal, reflection, and re-engagement. And while this leadership transition has been underway since last summer, today represents a momentous and exciting occasion as we pause from our busy schedules to enjoy the ceremony of welcome and formal installation. We've seen a great deal of change in academia these past 2 years, but ceremonies like this one remind us of the important traditions of academia, which formally mark change, growth, and hope for the future, but also continuity with the past and our traditions. Dr. Wohlpart has already accomplished a great deal during this first year, but we know there is amazing, culturally sustaining and community building work ahead of us. The changes we expect to see in the years to come will elevate Central Washington University to a new level of excellence and further our goal of being regarded by our peers and the communities we serve as an institution of choice for students, faculty, and staff. Dr. Wohlpart has already helped us to discern the things which are special about CWU, chiefly a very special group of people working together to improve lives and to transform communities. These people who are such an important part of the CWU community. Most of us have already caught a glimpse of the momentum Dr. Wohlpart's leadership is creating. He has engaged our community in a rich discussion of mission, vision, and values. His emphasis on student success and belongingness has been clear in his approach to change. While a president's vision matters, his ability to engage all of us, to bring us along, to bring us together in the process, and his willingness to respond to input has created a campus culture of openness and care. He believes strongly in the power of shared governance and the importance of democratic processes. He engages as many constituencies as possible because he wholeheartedly believes that everyone's opinion is valuable and that we are more successful as a community. He has demonstrated that approach in our COVID planning, in his mission and vision work, and even in day-to-day processes. He strives for transparency and honesty in everything he does on campus and in the community. And those qualities always come through in both words and actions. He is a dedicated educational professional who cares deeply about this CWU community. And as the mission and vision process has made clear, his own values are an excellent fit for our community. He is engaged in sustainability work, he is committed to the hard work of diversity and equity, and he genuinely cares about the work of a university in order to create informed and engaged citizens. The Board of Trustees did very well when they chose Dr. Wohlpart as the 15th president of CWU. Thank you, Board of Trustees. It is an honor and a privilege to be here today to officially welcome Dr. Wohlpart to the Wildcat family. We have a lot to look forward to with Dr. Wohlpart at the helm, and I can't wait to see where he takes us in the years to come. Thank you for all that you are doing to improve the lives of our students, our faculty, and the entire Wildcat community. And with that, I would like to welcome the chair of the Central Washington University Board of Trustees, Robert Nellums, to the stage.
Thank you, Dr. Dembesti, and thanks, Greg, for your astute observations about Dr. Wohlpart's success during his short time at Central Washington University. I want to echo what both of you have said about his unique leadership style. I know this institution has much more to look forward to under Dr. Wohlpart's guidance, and I couldn't be happier to have him sitting in the president's office of my alma mater, a place we all hold dear. I have served on the Board of Trustees since 2015 and had the privilege of helping lead the nationwide search for a new president in late 2020 and early 2021 before I became the Board of Trustees chair last summer. During this selection process, Dr. Wohlpart stood out to many of us, but chief among them, for many ways, but chief among them was his proven ability to bring people together. He also strongly believes in the value of diversity, equity, and inclusion, giving people from all backgrounds an opportunity to succeed and to take leadership roles that may not have previously been recognized for themselves. As a Wildcat myself, I can't express how much I appreciate the work Dr. Wohlpart has done here in such a short time. His commitment to making CWU a better place for all has been inspiring to see, and I feel honored to work alongside him as we bring this fine institution well into the future. He is equally committed to the importance of building communities, both on our campus and across the state. He has already been working with local business people, alumni, policymakers, and community leaders, listening carefully about what CWU's long-term vision should look like in a broader context, involving everyone and attaching value to each of their individual ideals has helped Dr. Wohlpart build goodwill amongst a wide variety of stakeholders. We are very fortunate to welcome Dr. Wohlpart to the Wildcat family, and it is my tremendous honor to officially introduce him as the 15th president of Central Washington University. Please help me welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Jim Wohlpart.
Thank you for those generous introductions. It would be impossible to stand before you today and not feel deeply humbled and deeply honored. I've spent the last year or more listening to all of you, to many of our alumni and our supporters. What I've heard repeatedly is that you make a difference. You matter. You matter because you show up every day to help our students on their journey. You matter because of the wide variety of roles that you play in this journey and how all of these roles together add up to a learning experience that transforms our students' lives, their families' lives, and their communities. So I open with gratitude and humility. To the trustees who have gathered for this installation, thank you for the way in which you hold this institution in your hands and your hearts. And thank you for trusting me with the work of leading Central Washington University as its 15th president. To the leadership of the faculty, the staff, the students, I've worked closely with you during my first year to deepen our commitment to shared governance and shared leadership. Your dedication to making Central Washington University a stronger, more vibrant university, and your partnership in that work is deeply appreciated and valued. To the community members, local civic and business leaders, and public health officials who are present, and to those who could not make it today, thank you for your collaboration with Central Washington University. Together, we make this region vibrant, resilient, and thriving. We rely on you for so much. Indeed, we could not do what we do without your support. To the legislators and legislative staff who are present, to our donors, our alumni, our supporters, your support of higher education in the state and of Central Washington University in particular is the foundation of the great work we do in transforming students' lives. Without your recognition of the vital importance of higher education to our economic, civic, and social life, we would not be able to take our work to the next level. To the administration of the university, directors, department heads, deans, vice presidents, and former presidents, we must always remember that we are stewards of the state and trustees in our own right to the health and vitality of our university. In everything we do, we must collaborate with our university colleagues as partners and expand our collective capacity to think institutionally. I do believe we have a former president, Geraldine McIntyre, who is here. Thank you for being here. And interim President Jim Pappas, I believe, is here. And I know that President Jim Gaudino was trying to make it, and I think at the last minute he had a change of plans. To the staff across the university, here in Ellensburg and at our centers, thank you for the support that you provide to all of us and to our students. Staff often work behind the scenes to keep things going, and we don't always do enough to honor your great work. But without your dedication and commitment to student success and student learning, I know that our project would falter. To the faculty who are dedicated to their disciplines while also recognizing the importance of a broad liberal education. Thank you for upholding the time-honored traditions of learning and balancing those traditions with the spirit of innovation. You understand that we cannot maintain the status quo when there is so much at stake. To the students, you are why we are here. Every day that I walk across this campus or any of our other campuses, I remember that your time with us is a gift, and that we have the responsibility to make certain that your time is richly rewarded. Not just through preparing you for a profession, not just through inspiring your civic agency, but most importantly through assisting you on this miraculous journey of finding out who you are, why you matter, and how you will offer your gifts and talents to the world. Today's event could not have happened without so many folks working behind the scenes. And I'd really like to thank the folks who played the music as you came in. Wasn't that spectacular? Right? The staff in public affairs who have coordinated so much of this, and I'd especially like to thank the Chief of Staff, Linda Schochtler, who really works behind the scenes to keep this all running. So thank you all so much for your work. Every one of us has mentors, those who we work directly with and those who we watch and learn and grow from. And I am deeply blessed with mentors, from my father and my mother to the faculty who taught me so well at the University of Tennessee and Colorado State University, to the many faculty, staff, and students and administrators at Florida Gulf Coast University and the University of Northern Iowa. I've learned so much from all of them. And I'll tell a quick story. This is from 1995, Jack? 1996, when Jack Crocker joined Florida Gulf Coast University as the founding dean of arts and sciences. I was a new faculty there, and I'd been there for 2 years. But before Jack joined Florida Gulf Coast University, he was at the University of South Florida up in Tampa. And I was a faculty member still in USF Tampa before FGCU opened, and I had a student who had one requirement that she needed to graduate. It wasn't a class, it wasn't a big deal. I worked with her to take it through every process, every committee, every administrator, and we got no's all along the way. When I got the last no, I said, well, is there anybody else I can talk to who can say yes? And they said, well, I'll give you the name of somebody, but he's probably not gonna say yes because we've said no all along the way. Well, that was Jack Crocker, who was a dean up in US. So I called Jack, I explained the situation, and Jack said to me, Jim, learn the rules well and follow the rules. That's why the rules are there. Learn them well so that when you need to break them, you break them well. He said, of course we're going to let this student graduate. Why would we let this hang? What I found out when Jack became the dean and my boss is he actually preferred breaking the rules to honoring the rules. So if you have a president who breaks a few rules and does things differently, thank Jack. Jack, why don't you wave so they can come say hi to you at the end. And each of us is supported by a network of family and friends. I'm blessed that many of the faculty and staff and students who I've worked with over the years have become close friends who I cherish to this day. Thank you to Dennis and Amy Linson, my in-laws and Aunt Sandy, for attending today, and as well to the Linson crew in Southern Illinois, Linda, Matt, and Jen, and the young ladies, the folks who are watching. And thank you to my mother, Pamela, for her steadfast support, to my brother, David, who's helping her watch as we live stream, my sisters, Catherine, Bridget, and Heidi, and my kids and best friends, Zachary James and Catherine Keene. You are my safety net, the place I come back to when I need to be reminded who I am. My daughter was not supposed to be here today. She conspired with my wife, Sasha, and showed up. Kat, wave your hand so people can come thank you at the end. I wasn't going to talk about my father today. You all know how important my father is in my journey. I talked about him at the first State of the University address. But my daughter has taken up this remarkable craft of painting the edges of books. And she's tried something new called four-edge painting, so that when you look at the edge of the book, you can't really see anything, but you have to take it and you have to bend it. And when you bend this book, you see a painting of my father. What a great gift. Most importantly, I am blessed with a remarkable partner. Sasha, you are a bright light shining in the world each and every day, even in the midst of the most challenging times. You're my intellectual partner, my emotional partner, my psychological partner, my spiritual partner. Without you, you need to wave your hand too, because none of this would be possible. I could not stand before you today if it was not for her and her willingness to go on this journey with me. Thank you for dancing across this fragile and beautiful earth. We should take a moment to acknowledge the land on which Central Washington University resides. It is the historic home of the Yakima people. The federally recognized confederated tribes and bands of the Yakima Nation is made up of the Klickitat, Palouse, Walla Walla, Wanapum, Wenatchee, Wishram, and Yakima people. The Yakima people remain committed stewards of this land, cherishing it and protecting it as instructed by elders throughout the generations. We are honored and grateful to be here today on their traditional lands. We give thanks to the legacy of the original people, their lives, and their descendants. I read this statement to remind us that the land is not owned. It is rather a gift that is inherited. In taking responsibility for that gift, we must think of the 7 generations, of how we will pass this gift forward and create a legacy worthy of our inheritance. Reading this statement should disrupt our usual ways of thinking and being in the world, our epistemology and ontology, to help us think beyond ourselves to something bigger. I aspire to this new way of thinking and being in all I do. As I am wont to do, let me begin with a story. When I graduated from high school in 1981, I was absolutely determined that I would never go to college. I had spent 11 years sitting through school. I didn't attend kindergarten, and I skipped 3rd grade. And I wasn't going to be caught anywhere near another educational institution. I had been in touch with Richard Proneck, who had built a cabin on Upper Twin Lake in Alaska. And I thought I'd apprentice with him to learn to live off the land in solitude, truly self-sufficient and alone. He and I wrote letters back and forth in the 1970s about this venture. He told me I should go to college to see how I could serve others, and then maybe later, if I wanted to, we could see about a trip to Alaska. As I reflect back on that time in my life, what I know now is that my desire to leave society was because of the gaps that I saw in front of me. Gaps in meaning and purpose, gaps in equity and justice, gaps that people didn't seem to be addressing. Poverty, the degradation of the land, racial injustice, the Vietnam War. What I hadn't experienced was the type of education that is offered here at Central Washington University. In the last year, I've had dozens of meetings with students, alumni, donors, friends, supporters, and they keep telling me the same thing. Central is a special place. It's special because for every student, someone, a faculty member, a staff member, an alumni, one of you, took the time to see the potential in that student and then helped that student get really good at what they were working on. One moment in time that laid the foundation for a lifetime. This is what all of you do, the faculty, the staff, and students for each other, that makes Central so special. You allow students to be seen. You validate them not just as students, but as colleagues, as individuals with purpose and meaning. In the coming decade, we must maintain and even elevate this laser focus on student engagement and student success, which fosters professional preparation, civic agency, and personal fulfillment. For our nation is at a crossroads, and the choices we make now will impact generations to come. Will we come together as a nation to meaningfully engage the pressing issues of our time? Can we weave the tattered fabric of our civil society back together in order to get on with the work before us? Or will we remain polarized and paralyzed? I strongly believe that the crossroads that we face as a nation run squarely through higher education. And if we can pivot and provide the intentional and meaningful learning experiences needed in the 21st century, we can alleviate the paralysis and enter the arena to engage the work before us. But the status quo will not do. The status quo has brought us to the brink. And I believe further that our responsibility at this institution, at Central Washington University, is paramount to this wider agenda of fulfilling the promise and potential of higher education. Tomorrow, we will ask the Board of Trustees to approve our new vision and mission statements, which assert that we will lead the way to be a model in building a learning community of equity and belonging that fosters culturally sustaining practices which equip our students for the adaptive challenges of the 21st century. With this new vision and mission, we have the opportunity to take our outstanding work to the next level and realize the fullest, deepest promise of higher education in this tumultuous time. To do our great work through the lens of equity in order to build a community where everyone is welcomed for the person they are and the person they are becoming. At the foundation of our work must be the engagement and success of an increasingly diverse student body. This must be the lever that drives everything we do. And we must consider student success broadly through three pillars. First, ensuring the professional preparation of our students. Second, developing their civic capacities. And third, assisting them in developing a sense of purpose and meaning. I'll touch on each of these three pillars briefly. Pillar one, professional preparation. Surveys of employers of the last 15 years have been calling for graduates to attain certain outcomes to enable them to transition successfully into the world of work. On behalf of the American Association of Colleges and Universities, Hart Research Associates has conducted one of the most iterative surveys of employers to find out what it is that they need from our graduates. The key finding that is repeated every single time they've done this survey is that employers want proficiency in a broad range of skills which they consider more important than the narrow learning in a discipline. That is, it doesn't really matter what your major is. What matters is that broad learning that you get in general education and the way in which you deepen those skills later on in your journey. These skills include communication, written and oral, teamwork, and increasingly teamwork with a diverse set of individuals, critical thinking and analytical reasoning, information literacy, and intercultural literacy. Over time, employers more greatly emphasize the need for graduates to have applied their learning in real-world settings, solving real-world problems. This call led many colleges and universities to implement more extensive engaged learning experiences, much of what we do here at Central Washington Uni, including not just internships, but service learning, undergraduate research, project-based learning, study abroad. Interestingly, according to Samuel Muller's The First 75 Years of Central Washington University, Ellensburg Normal School implemented applied learning experiences in the 1920s and received national recognition for leading this transformation in learning. Let's do it again. An interesting shift began in 2010 with these surveys, with the economic downturn and the rising complexity of work. The result in subsequent surveys was a desire on the part of business leaders to have colleges and universities prepare graduates not just for entry level, but for quick advancement in their organizations. The need for graduates to demonstrate a capacity for innovation has resulted from these tumultuous times And as a result, institutions of higher education must pivot again towards a more fully emphasizing an integrative education, one that includes interdisciplinary learning, multicultural literacy, collaboration skills, and information literacy. Significantly, such a shift would prepare students not only for their professions, but also for civic agency and lifelong learning, for a life of engaged, purposeful, and passionate fulfillment of their being. And if institutions of higher education are going to make a shift away from silos and disciplines and hierarchies, the leadership of these communities must follow suit to become more democratic, to elevate shared governance and shared leadership, to embrace multiple cultures and communities, to model our values not just in the classroom, but across the university. And as we do so, we must also remember that we're about more than professional preparation of our students. We're about so much more than that. Indeed, institutions of higher education are the bedrock of a vibrant and high-functioning democracy. In 2012, the U.S. Department of Education assembled a national task force on civic learning and democratic engagement. Their report, A Crucible Moment, College Learning and Democracy's Future, noted that the completion of post-secondary education and the acquisition of 21st century critical thinking skills in the liberal arts and sciences are an economic necessity as well as a social imperative. To fulfill America's promise in global society, our educational system at all levels must serve our nation both as its economic engine and its wellspring of democracy. So let me turn to Pillar 2, civic engagement. The motto of our great nation, E pluribus unum, translates as out of many, one. It seems to me in this time that we have forgotten how to weave our desire for individual rights into the fabric of our communal responsibilities. Indeed, it seems to me that we have forgotten that the very source of our individual rights is the foundation of our great nation. Our democracy, which calls us to engage and participate, but also to accept that my own personal predilections may not carry the day. That because I'm tied to something much bigger, much greater than my own whims and desires, I must participate in what is best for my community. In 1946, President Harry S. Truman, growing concerned at the large number of veterans returning home from the Second World War, commissioned a study on higher education. And that commission determined that higher education should bring three things to all Americans. And now I'm going to quote. This is amazing to me in 1946. I think we've forgotten this. First, education, higher education is about education for a fuller realization of democracy in every phase of living. That was the number one thing that they determined in 1946 higher education was about. Education directly and explicitly for international understanding and cooperation. And third, education for application of creative imagination and trained intelligence to the solution of social problems and to the administration of public affairs. As noted, let's scroll forward, in 2012, the U.S. Department of Education issued a Crucible Moment, which also investigated the role of higher education in democracy. The report outlines the type of education necessary to reattach us to the promise of this great nation. An education, here's a quote, informed by deep engagement with the values of liberty, equality, individual worth, open-mindedness, and the willingness to collaborate with people of differing views and backgrounds toward common solutions for the public good. As we model this type of civil discourse at Central Washington University, we must build an environment of meaningful engagement with others who have different backgrounds and worldviews from all parts of the state, the nation, and the world. As Ronald Daniel notes in his recent book, What Universities Owe Democracy, effective democratic citizens reason and argue and tolerate and participate. They aspire to achieve the best version of their community and engage their fellow citizens in the political realm in that project. And they do so with individuals who come from different backgrounds, have different perspectives, and operate from different value systems. As we work together to embody a new vision and mission at Central, we have the opportunity to demonstrate our commitment not only to be culturally responsive, but to be culturally sustaining, to truly elevate and sustain the various cultures, languages, literacies, histories, and communities that our students, faculty, staff bring to our university and to the broader Kittitas Valley. This is the great work of the 21st century, and it calls us to take this work up. And given the opportunity we have as an institution of higher education to lead this work, our responsibilities are great. We will need to try new strategies and approaches as we embody our new vision and mission, and some of those may fail. But failure in building a community of equity and belonging is not an option. Too much is at stake, too many lives, and too much potential. Indeed, it is through the active engagement with the world around us that we deepen our learning into wisdom and become committed to something much bigger than ourselves. We see in the act of solving intractable problems with others that our work matters, for it can make the world a better place to live, to work, and to learn. Pillar 3, deep purpose and personal fulfillment. My desire to leave higher education altogether after high school was driven partly by what I perceived to be a narrow focus on career preparation, and that has gotten worse even in the last 20 years. All of my friends went to college to be engineers, to get jobs and make money. I wanted something different. I wanted a pathway into a meaningful and purposeful life. Let me be clear, professional preparation must be a central component of what we do. Like preparing students to be active civic agents, preparing students for the jobs of the future is an integral component of our work. It must drive our curriculum, our co-curriculum, our pedagogy, and our extracurricular activities. But we must remember that professional preparation and civic agency are not the heart of what we do. At our core, we are about transforming students' lives, their families' lives, and their communities. This transformative project is not about producing widgets to fit into a corporate machine. It is about nurturing the growth of human beings, of offering opportunities that allow our students to become more fully themselves, realize their deepest, most profound potential, and flourish as whole and integrated human beings in whole and healthy communities. In the heart of higher education, Parker Palmer and Arthur Zients connect teaching and learning to this more profound project. They note, the ideals of liberal education include integration across disciplines, connection to community, and alignment of one's studies with the inner aspirations that give direction and meaning to one's life. What is truly at the heart of teaching and learning, as Palmer and Zients note, is an education that embraces every dimension of what it means to be human, that honors the varieties of human experience, looks at us and our world through a variety of cultural lenses, and educates our young people in ways that enable them to face the challenges of their time. To shift the teaching and learning experience towards a focus on the development of an integrated and whole human being, rather than the disciplines and a career, a whole and human being would be radical. Jack, I learned this from you. But it would be natural, for it is what we do as a university that's different from many other places. Indeed, in 1898, Principal W.E. Wilson, the third leader of this historic institution, reported that Ellensburg Normal School was about more than training teachers. It was about more fully developing the cultivation of the abilities and habits of a scholar. Under Wilson's leadership, the curriculum was redesigned for strengthening and sharpening the intellect, for enlarging the liberalization of the mind, for the enrichment and invigoration of the whole life. As we offer a curriculum and co-curriculum that advances the whole life of our students, can we do this work intentionally and strategically and developmentally? As Palmer and Zients note, our colleges and universities need to encourage, foster, and assist our students, faculty, staff, and administrators in finding their own authentic way to an undivided life, where meaning and purpose are tightly interwoven with intellect and action, where compassion and care are infused with insight and knowledge. Can we develop a central experience that weaves together our curriculum and co-curriculum to foster an integrated and whole life, and do so through the lens of equity in order to build a community of belonging? What is wonderful about the project before us is that the work of professional preparation, civic agency, and deep purpose and personal fulfillment is not divergent, not three separate tasks that we must take on. This work is emergent and interconnected. As we embrace our new vision and mission, and as we set our sights on the horizon before us and the challenges that our students face when they leave us, we have the opportunity to carefully and artfully craft a central experience that will equip our students to thrive in their careers and live purposeful and meaningful lives, and our economy and democracy to flourish. In order to take our work to the next level, we cannot be asking about student readiness and must become focused on institutional readiness. That is, rather than focusing on any deficits that we perceive students to have, we must build the scaffolding necessary for all of our students to meet the challenges of the rigorous educational experience that the 21st century demands. We must prepare ourselves as an institution to help all of our students succeed at the highest levels possible and learn to value and sustain the richness of the identities, cultures, histories, languages, literacies, and backgrounds that they bring with them. Indeed, can we emphasize as a niche, a way that makes us truly distinct, the opportunity to learn from others who have different backgrounds from us? Can we model as a university and a community, both inside and outside our classrooms, on and off campus, in Ellensburg and at our centers, the ability to collaborate across difference in respectful ways with authentic, deep listening, to discern our own biases, to put them aside, and truly consider another perspective? We should not be so intellectually insecure that we fear considering some new or different idea simply because it comes from someone who has a different set of life experiences. When we're ready, after a lot of deliberation and learning and reflection, and when the resources present themselves, I propose that we establish a Center for Engaged Leadership and Learning that would be the proponent of this central experience, and that would allow us the opportunity not only to craft the intentional and developmental journey for our students, but also to assess, evaluate, and conduct research on this experience, and then share that research with others so that we can continue to learn and grow. As you may have guessed, I never made it to Alaska. I moved to Colorado after high school, and I worked as a plumber in construction for a year with my Uncle Chris, and I learned a lot about myself. He was such an incredible mentor for me. And while I felt accomplishment in that craft, I did not feel that the gifts and talents I had been given were being used to their deepest purpose. So I returned to college, and I never left. I found that I loved learning so much that I went on for a master's degree and then a doctorate. My first position after finishing my PhD was at Florida Gulf Coast University, a public comprehensive like Central Washington. And I became dedicated to this work of fulfilling the promise and potential of higher education for the people of this country, people from all different backgrounds and abilities, and even from across the world. I've been asked many times why I would want to be a president of an institution of higher education in this challenging time. We're experiencing decreased public support, questions about the value of education, with adaptive challenges facing us: climate change, racial injustice, the polarization of our civic society. What I know is that no one person, not even a president, can solve or truly engage these issues alone. There is no hero to ride in and save us. We must do this work together. We must build a stronger governance system that blurs the boundaries between faculty, staff, students, and administration. We must come together as a community to lead together, to transform what we do together. This is the moment we have been given. I'm deeply honored to have been offered the opportunity to join you as the 15th president of Central Washington University, a special place that transforms lives, not because I have all the answers, but because I know in my heart that together we can figure out what questions to ask, how to ask them, and how to begin to find answers. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you so much for this warm welcome. I look forward to the work before us. Be well.